All right, we're back with the Blitzkrieg legend. Irwin Hex to Hex Rommel. No. Heinz Hex to Hex Gadarian. Nah, nah, nah. That doesn't matter. Anyhow, we just finished the 14 May turn, 1940. Yeah, and it's taken me like 2 or 3 days to play a turn because it's starting to get more developed now. And I'm gonna say it again. Awesome system. This system is great. You got to really think, this is probably the third game since I came back to gaming in the last year that's really put the mind to work. Still not quite got myself wrapped around the tactics or what the strategy is I want to apply. Um, at least for the Axis side, I mean, I know what has to be done. Um, And of course, with the Allies, with really no dial plan rules, I went and stacked up the Meuse River and was still working on that. And the Allies even had the initiative on this turn again. So they got the first jump, and I was moving everything I could to get there, and even trying to build a secondary line a little farther back, which you can see starting to develop there. The Brits are, they're doing their thing in front of whatever that town is. I don't know, Brussels, I guess, somewhere around Brussels. They're stacking up, starting to get some troops over towards Antwerp. French trying to help out the Belgians over there. Let's go around the other side here. Uh, like I'm saying, this game, you set up one of these campaigns, it's going to be up for a while. So just count on that. Maybe get you another table off to the side and set up something smaller to sort of break the pace. Like I've got, the Stalingrad over there, and I got another one I'm going to put over there. Just haven't got around to it yet. It looks like it might be out of that Huzzah box right there. I really want to play one of those tactical level games from the Civil War to get me ready for the Wilderness one. So yeah, get yourself something that if you need to take a break away from the big thing. And also, you need to kind of develop a system. Like if you're like me, you'll do some movement, and you won't get all the way across the board. So, I might do something like, if I stopped moving in this area right here, I might set a pair of tweezers down to remind me that, hey, I moved everything on that side. Now I'm working over here. Or I might use my little dice things and just start dropping them along the board to remind me what I moved, what I haven't. I don't like the turning counter sideways thing because I did that over here on this side on the first turn. Get that light out of the way. And I was doing my thing, and I went all the way around the board. And I said, oh, wait a minute, I got to make an adjustment back over here. And I come back over here, and I hadn't flipped anybody. I'm like, oh, shit, who have I moved and who have I not moved? And then I realized, okay, well, let's start turning them, all the units that I moved. Then I realized if there was something I didn't move when the next turn started, I had to square everybody up again. So that's why I started using like my little dice or something to mark where I've got. And I'm trying to work from one side to the other, which I know most gamers do. But sometimes, you're trying to create sort of an envelope or a wrap up or a pincer, and you might be on the left side and then jump over to the right side, and then then you come back to the middle. So I'm sure everybody's got a different way of doing it. So what I decided to do was important stuff like the headquarters, the supply trucks, oncoming supply. I would turn them sideways so that I know I couldn't move them anymore. I do like the fuel up for the independent units. If you got one headquarters, spend a point to fuel the headquarters up, and any independent unit within his throw range can receive that fuel and move. Of course, your leg units, you don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's get back over here to the Dutch. They're not taking any hits up north. Was able to land all of those 22nd LL guys. Well, most of them, not all of them. Up in there. There's still some. They still got some sitting over here in the box. So German losses, you can see they've lost an aircraft in 4 battalions. Need I say more about that? Look at all the British aircraft shot down. The German Luftwaffe just does a job on them. So yeah, for another couple turns, they won't have any aircraft at least on the board. They'll have to use their stuff in their surge box, which they just got those. Really haven't got a use for them yet, but I'm sure I will. Germans are pushing. They're pushing towards the canal or the waterways down here. So I got to get something there to stop that move. I had an exploitability with that 9th Panzer right there, but the odds weren't good enough. Interesting thing about this game. So when you attack, the defender gets to choose the terrain that will affect the attacker to the worst. Then he also gets to choose the terrain, or excuse me, will affect the attacker's strength multipliers to the worst. And then he gets to choose the terrain that will assist him as the defender to the best. So, I mean, you might pick something where his armor stays at full strength, but then that puts him in open terrain. So you got to be, that can take you an extra second or two to think about what you want to do. So remember that when you in an attack, the defender gets to choose the terrain that will affect the attacker to the best of the defender's ability. So, like, if you have in a hex, you have open terrain and you have wooded hills, you're probably going to choose the wooded hills because it cuts the armor in half for the attacker. And then he also gets to decide which terrain he's going to be in as the defender for his benefits. So, which in most cases, that'll be whether you're in close, very close, or open terrain. So, it'll depend on what you choose, but you got to kind of think through that too. I don't always do that. Sometimes I'm not paying attention and I forget that, and I just take the worst terrain in the hex. So keep that one in mind. That's one of the ones I got to pick up. All right, so over here we had a couple of little combats over in here. The Germans have pushed in. I'm sure y'all want to look at that. So Germans pushed in up here, took this intersection and drove these. There were 3 French units in there. I think one of them got knocked out. The other 2 had to run. I decided to take a step loss as the optional so that he would run away. Over here, 9th Panzer, they attacked in here with some other units, cleared us out, and then they exploited, but I decided it wasn't worth the fight here. And then I went back and said, yeah, maybe it is. So we got lucky, decided to choose a step loss, I think, on the 9th Panzer to cause this guy to move away. So we did, get him out of that city he was in. I don't know, the Dutch don't really have much to... Although I think they have... No, the Belgians have some replacements they can use. Let's get back over here to the middle a little bit. So, pull it down. Got a Dutch unit sitting here I got to get rid of. So, this area in here, we got across the canal here. All right, the Germans did. But didn't have any exploit on any units where I could keep going out. I tell you what I'm doing is with the Germans that did get out here, trying to knock out these Belgian headquarters, because that can cause them to condense, because they don't have they don't have that additional ability to throw supply out to get rid of those headquarters. Now, granted, they can rebuild them, but you got a chart that tells you what I think a headquarters is. Yeah, it's 1 equipment and 1 PAX. So 1 personnel and 1 equipment replacement to replace a headquarters. So I worked on, I think I've taken out 1, 2, I think 3 Belgian headquarters. I think 1 French headquarters. All right. All right, so it was just normal attacks there that got those guys across the canal in this area here. Decided just to shield this. Didn't do any fighting there because it's a lot of supply with these 4-step units, okay? And you got to be pretty judicious about where you're going to use your supply. All right, down here around Maastricht, that's pretty much German controlled now. Knock my camera over. So this area here it's all cleared out now. All the Belgians are gone, okay? Liège is owned by the Germans now. And this Panzer, 4th Panzer, you can hear in movement, he conducted like 3 overruns and was sitting like right here. And then he had then he did combat and had exploitations. So he was able to hit 2 more. He took out 2 artillery and a headquarters unit in exploitation. So I got his 5 cents worth out of him. Took out another headquarters. 5th Panzer, they just attacked. They cleared out some units here, but they didn't draw any exploit, and there was nothing really left for them to do. So they kind of set in place there. Pushed up into the next town here with the Germans. Decided not to burn. I needed to use the supply elsewhere because the Germans just don't have the massive supply, even with what they get every turn on die roll. I try to get that as far forward as I can. But I had a focus on this turn. All right. The objective is to get across that Meuse River coming out of the Ardennes. So I was trying to put my focus there. So let's move up a little bit here. Over here on the left side, it's just starting to stretch. It's kind of like the bulge. like 7th Army in the Bulge, just trying to cover that flank as the German units move forward. Trying to clear out what's left here. Didn't even touch that freaking cav unit. 7th Panzer just didn't have enough muscle to do it. Hit that stack there, and they got DG'd, but didn't have enough muscle to attack him. But some of Kleist's group, they were able to drive these Belgians that were near there. Actually, they destroyed them in this intersection here, and then they're driving on them that way. Not that they're going to accomplish much up here. There's a couple spots, so I really had to think this one out. And I was getting a little nervous about that, how, shit, the French are just going to time up on the Meuse River because they didn't all rush up here to the Dial, and it's going to end with the Germans never even getting out of the Ardennes. Well, lo and behold, did I get lucky. So right up yonder, so we can get in here close enough, when I was moving all the frogs up here to the river, the French, pardon me, don't mean nothing offensive, I had a French unit, sitting on the river crossing, where is he? Right here where that one supply, that German stack is. He was a 3-strength unit sitting in that fortress. And I had a panzer division that could reach him and attack him in an overrun. And I got him first. I moved a recon unit, which you can see sitting right there. And then I moved up units to attack him. But before that, I did airstrikes. And I sent, I take it back. I did hip shoots with was as many Junkers as it was going to take, Ju-87 Stukas as it was going to take to disorganize that guy. And I got him disorganized. Well, I got the fortress underneath. I got that disorganized. And then the attack was successful. I think I chose to take a step loss there to force them out of there. So your fortress hexes, your printed fortress hexes, like that's a strength of 4. It's considered a 1-step fortress. Once you destroy it, it becomes a Hedgehog 1. The Hedgehog 1 always stays there. You can't destroy it. I don't even put a marker down. Usually I'll put it like an out-of-supply marker to show that I destroyed the actual fort there. If it's an 8 strength or stronger, then it's a 2-step. It's like having a 2-step unit in there for losses. And then any friendly non-fort units that are in there, they don't count for any steps when you're figuring out density. They are 0 RE, but you still have to supply them with their normal RE, okay? You've got to count that to get supply to them. So anyhow, we got across, and we actually got across in movement, all right? And then we did combat and cleared out a couple more things, and in the combat, 2 of the units got exploitation. The 2nd Panzer, he got an ability to exploit, and the 1st Panzer got the ability to exploit. So the 1st Panzer decided to take out the unit, another small unit to this side with a fort, got rid of that. So now there's a Hedgehog 1 that's in there. And this 2nd Panzer took on the French, not 1st Armored. French 1st Armored, and drove him away and caused a loss, but I think I took a loss from them too at the same time. So the Germans are across the Meuse. So the Meuse River. So now, if they get the initiative on the next turn, that'll be great for them. If they don't, they need to hold, because the French are probably going to try to smack back at them, because 2nd Armored sitting here, their action ratings or whatever are not very good, but they've got big units. They got like 6s and 5s in there. So, and then they've got 2nd Cav, 4th Armored units sitting over here, probably more of them coming on. So they'll probably do some delay. You got a couple good sized infantry units. So, and then you got some infantry units back here behind them that can come up and try to help. They don't move very far, and I don't know what reinforcements they're going to get this turn. So that's the developments at the end of the 14 May turn. Like I say, I'm now it's changed. So the play might, we'll have to see what happens if these Germans can make that hole more than it is. French might have to get out of there. They might have to pull away, because they could either go ahead and start drive, outside of the ports over there in Paris. You get in Paris, you get a unit in 1 hex of Paris, and they got to start rolling for surrender. And as you can see, there's not a ton of stuff. Now, granted, the Germans would have to be in supply. Of course, you got air units. You can fly supply in if you have to. But where is it? Verdun, right here. Verdun and Metz are also very nice sized victory point locations. So, all right, so let's just take a quick overview around the whole map. Stinking light. You can see over here, here's the line going right back across and down the Meuse River. There's the gap right there. There's the hole. Question is, can the Germans do something with it? Or can the French stop them? All right, down the river. Back over towards some other big city that I have covered up and can't see the name of. And then the Belgians are just sort of running away as fast as they can, except for over here. They're holding up over here. The Brits are ready. Some of the French backups are ready. The Dutch are okay for the time being. Have to see how Amsterdam develops, how that goes up there. There's a lot of German units up there right now, and I'm able to fly supply into them as long as flak don't shoot them down. And what I do is I keep taking out the British airplanes that are over here so that they can't be in a patrol zone when you fly those missions up there. I did have the one right here. He wasn't able to knock anybody out of the sky. So that's a good strength unit because most of the Germans, some of their ME-109s I think are 4s, and these British Hurricanes or whatever I think are 3s. So the Germans get a +1 die roll advantage on the air combat. All right, so that's it. That's the development of the after the 14 May turn. We'll start getting into the 16 May turn. Probably try to play some Stalingrad Pocket 2 here though before I start on this. Try to do this in bits and pieces. Don't want to burn myself out while I'm playing because I am having fun with it. I love this. I love this system. I'm telling you, if you got an OCS system, I know most of y'all that watch these things do and you enjoy them. Hey, get one out and play it. You don't have to play no big monster. And look at this. This is really only a 2 1/4 size map. And it takes me 2 or 3 days to do a turn. Now, granted, I could probably sit in here on the weekend and knock out a couple turns, but I don't know. Too ADD, I guess, to sit there and play it for straight hours on end. All right, so that's it. Let's get this wrapped up. Let's get this one up on the net so y'all can see what's going on and give me your little words of wisdom or comments or things I might have missed or things I could do. All right, talk to y'all soon.